I rise to be present for the second reading and to start the debate with respect to the Firearms Amendment Bill 2017. The bill is very short, and yet the shortness of the bill defies the significance of this bill in the pursuance of public order and safety in the country. The bill seeks to amend the Firearms Act, Chapter 19.05, and for matters connected therewith. And that Section 2 of the bill, amendment of the Act, it says that the Act is amended by replacing the expression not exceeding 10 years, wherever it occurs in the following sections, with the expression not exceeding 20 years. And under Clause 2, we identify the sections from A to W where reference is being given to the maximum penalty to be imposed with respect to possession and use of firearms. And wherever in these sections there was the expression not exceeding 10 years, the law proposes to increase this significantly from 10 to 20 years. I am advised that perhaps as we go through the committee, there will be some amendment. But what we are attempting to do here is to substantially up the maximum penalty to be occasioned when one is convicted for the possession and use of firearms. Mr. Speaker, I believe on this matter of national security, it is a subject on which both sides of the House can be united in the national interest. And I expect that this Firearms Amendment Bill 2017 should broker no opposition to it. Our country has been demanding stiffer penalties to the increasing gun-related violence and homicides in our country. This bill signals to the country that the government has been listening attentively to the public, and we are responding appropriately. This is one element of a comprehensive response to the perennial problem of violence in our country over the period 1993 to present. Mr. Speaker, some statistics with respect to gun-related homicides. In 2010, I'm advised there were, in the cases of homicides, and 87% of the homicide committed in 2010 were related to the use of firearms. In 2011, we had a 90%, that is the application of guns in the commission of homicides. In 2012, 73% of all homicides were gun-related. And that figure relates to St. Kitts. So let me go federal as I've ought to in reading the table presented by the Commissioner of Police. The Federation in 2010, with respect to homicides, 85% of those were committed with the use of firearms. In 2011, 91%. In 2012, 78%. In 2013, 76%. In 2014, 75%. In 2015, 89%. 2016, 94% of the homicides were gun-related, and in 2017, 86%. The use then of firearms in the commission of crimes, and in particular homicides, is worrisome and has been for some time. And therefore, the country has been concerned that the deterrent effects be seen and that the government and the society at large move in concert to ensure that those who are warned to commit these homicides, that the penalty match the abhorrence of the society as a whole with respect to these kinds of gun-related crimes in our country. Mr. Speaker, in 2014, the police was able to secure 12 firearms off our streets. In 2015, 21. In 2016, 36. And for the year so far, 23. Firearms, therefore, are prevalent, and the police should be commended for taking these guns out of the hands of illicit actors. Every gun secured by the police is one less weapon available to inflict damage and injury to our police. And so I want to commend them and their commendable results in recovering these illegal firearms from our streets. Our government's response to date has been broad-based, and it cut across social, religious, economic, political, and the legislative milieu. Our response recognizes the imperative of a short-term response to stem the tide of violent crime, contain it, and then reverse it over time. Hence, our 6-point plan and our strategic plan contemplate the short, medium, and long-term horizons. Having regard to the fact that this problem has been with us, not just this morning, not yesterday, but for a very long time. In fact, the country got alerted maybe in 1993 when there were some horrendous homicides in our country. And since then, regrettably, we have not been able to contain it to satisfactory levels. Indeed, in 2011, we recorded the highest level of homicides and record at 35 homicides in that particular year. And so we understand, the country understands that there is no magic bullet. If there were any, we would not be having this discussion today. If there were any, we would have seen this matter being contained. And over the last 20 plus years, we have failed to do that. Truth be told, across the Caribbean and across the world, it has been a period of increasing violence, and violence has come to be practiced across the globe in a manner we have never seen before. The uptake, for example, in terrorist activities in the UK, in France, to name just 2 countries, is a reflection of the challenges to public security and safety which each country has to attend to and to deal with in its own way. This legislative response which we bring today determines that the penal provisions, attending to the illegal possession and use of firearms must be harsher to serve the deterrent effect. Specifically, as I've outlined before, Section 2 of the bill will amend the penalty to be imposed by the judiciary for a range of offenses under the Substantive Act. And this, as is now proposed, will double the penalty to be exacted by the judiciary. I want to quote from one Lord, and he says, in the exercise of its legislative power, the Parliament may, if it thinks fit, prescribe a fixed punishment to be inflicted on all offenders found guilty of a defined offense, as for example, capital punishment for the crime of murder. Or it may prescribe a range of punishment up to a maximum of severity, either with or, as is more common, without a maximum, leaving it to the court by which the individual is tried to determine what punishment falling within the range prescribed by the Parliament is appropriate in the particular circumstances. What we have done basically is to define that range and to up it from 10, as has hitherto been the case, proposing that we go up to 20. Mr. Speaker, none will deny that the selection of punishment is an integral part of the administration of justice. The selection of punishment is an integral part of the administration of justice. And we have to ensure that our norms and value systems are such that we ensure that the penalty matches the public perception and conception of the damage and injury to the society. Mr. Speaker, successive administrations have responded to the exigencies of the times by the amendment of the Firearms Act, Chapter 19.05. A perusal of the Firearms Act shows that between 1967 and 2006, it has been amended at least 9 times, and the penalties imposed so far as trial by a magistrate is concerned, those penalties have increased substantially. This reflects the seriousness and the extreme prevalence of the crime in the society. The stats to which I made mention, in fact, reflects this prevalence of guns, of firearms, in relation to homicide. The law, as it now stands, enables both the High Court and the Magistrate Court to impose the maximum penalty. Mr. Speaker, this government has not and will never waver in doing the right thing. We do the right thing not because it is expedient, but because it is the right and honorable thing to do. Our record to the national security forces in this country is a stellar one. We have invested significantly in the security and safety of the state to ensure a better quality of life for all of our people. While some money is spent in this area as an expense for us, it is an investment which must bring a peace dividend in the future. Our consistent support and stellar record include that we have provided, in the context of concerns for public safety and security, the largest budgetary allocation to National Security Ministry in the history of this country, and we do so at $72+ million. We have invested in the training and the mentoring of our police. We have established new protocols, structures, and systems, and we brought in professional people in the Bramshill Policing Advisors to help us do it the right way. We have invested in the technology, including significant sums in the comparison microscope to upgrade the quality of service available in our fledgling forensic department. This, of course, has helped the police match weapon to multiple crime scene incidents. We are building out our CCTV program, and for that we have brought in and we have had the assistance of one of the largest and most respected CCTV camera producers in the world, in Vivotech. We have invested in transportation for the police, for the Defense Force and prison. Indeed, last year, we handed over trucks and vehicles to the Defense Force valued at over $800,000. Commander Wallace lamented, for the last 15 years before us, the Defense Force had had not one new vehicle to its fleet. We also have provided improved transportation for Her Majesty's prisons, particularly to ensure the safety of the public, particularly as it relates to the movement of prisoners to and from our courts and other locations. Importantly, because justice needs to be swift to have the deterrent effect, we opened a second high court. We invested in it because we expect dividends in the future. It is one thing to open a second high court as we did. It is another to have it outfitted with another judge. And we collaborated with the Chief Justice in St. Lucia to ensure that a second high court judge is available in service to St. Kitts. So at this time, our judicial system in St. Kitts and Nevis is being serviced by a record 3 high court judges, 2 in Basseterre, 1 in Charlestown. That is because we were prepared to invest in it. That was because we were prepared to pay for the services of a second judge. We undertook to do that in the context of our lived reality. We therefore brought an end to the on and off of the assizes system to ensure that criminal trials in our high court can proceed all year long, so that the backlog of cases which were there could be dealt with and disposed. We take no pleasure in delays in the justice system, because such delays affect not only the accused, such delays affect the victim and the society negatively. We, this government, in collaboration with the United States government and the UK government, launched the Criminal Justice Board, the first one in the OECS, bringing all the key stakeholders in the criminal justice system together to facilitate dialogue, understanding of the interrelatedness of the various departments, and the need for efficiency and efficacy in the criminal justice system. We have identified over 50 acres of land, thanks to the Director of Agriculture, which will be made available to ex-convicts, and other persons who are interested in making a fresh start. So those who are planting products that are illegal and who are encouraged to make a transformation, we are saying that we will provide you with the land to make that fresh start in life and to comply with our laws. But beyond that, we have determined as a cabinet, not only will we provide them with the land, we are prepared to provide them with the plants, the fruits, the vegetables that they may require in order to outfit their plants. We will go further. We will ensure that the lands allocated to them are properly fenced, and we will do all that we can to assist with the perennial issue of the monkey problem. We therefore are thinking broadly in terms of our response to criminality and the incidence of guns and drugs in our country. Mr. Speaker, beyond that, we have begun work on the new correctional facility at Estridge. The 1840, as it's called, had been around for much too long, and certainly has been inadequate in terms of a proper place for us to keep our citizens, even when they have transgressed against our expectations as a law-abiding society. And so this new prison, which had been talked about for so long, is now coming into fruition. And in our 2017 budget, we have allocated $2.2 or thereabout million to do all the necessary preliminary work to bring this into realization. Because we are concerned not only that we would take the criminals off the street, we are equally concerned that while they are spending their time, the highest probability exists that they can be rehabilitated. And therefore we will pursue in our prisons advanced rehabilitation programs. In this regard, we have already for this year committed to expand the number of employees available to Her Majesty's prisons by a further 10 to allow for the execution of the rehabilitation programs, so that when these persons would have exited from the walls of the prisons, they are better placed and prepared for engagement in a productive way. In relation to this prison, we put this out for appropriate tendering. We had competitors from all over the Caribbean competing, and it blessed our heart that one of our local outstanding architects in Stacey Hobson won from a field of diversified competitors in this regard. We have put all, I repeat, all of our Coast Guard vessels in service to our country. Never again will it be that a vessel ran adrift in Deep Bay and for days the Coast Guard is unable to access that vessel because their fleet is not up to par. We are doing what we need to do to preserve public peace and safety. And while the results have not been immediately available for all of these investments, we understand that we need to persevere in doing the right thing, and that the changes that are required, some of them attitudinal in nature, will take time, but we are moving and trending in the right direction, and we will not waver from doing it. We will do it as often as is necessary because we have confidence in our strategic plan. That is a good plan that could bring the desired results for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We are investing, even as we speak, in the building of a new headquarters for our Coast Guards. When we got there, the place was in a state of dilapidation, unfit to be inhabited by any human being. We moved them to new quarters, and we are advancing the construction of a new facilities. And as part of the rehabilitation program, we are using not only the skilled persons from the Coast Guard and the military defense force, we are also using inmates of a magistrate's prison, putting them to productive service of the country. We have introduced polygraph testing, or if you will, lie detector testing, to assist in our recruitment and selection process at the prisons, at the police, at the customs, and at the defense force. In other words, we are screening, we are vetting to ensure that from the onset, the persons with the best aptitudes and attitudes and predisposition are being recruited into the system. We are reorganizing our traffic department, and more details will come from that, because the management of our traffic becomes critical also in the context of public safety and security, and also to the extent that a majority of the criminal incidents which have occurred, persons have made their escape through vehicles, and in particular through rentals. We are working as we speak with the rental agencies in our country to ensure that they apply new technology that will be able to track these rentals wherever they go. GPS and all of these technologies are available, and we want everyone on board to ensure that our beloved country is the most peaceful country in this world. We have activated what hitherto was a dormant defense board to examine matters to do with the promotion, defense, discipline, and commissioning of officers in our defense force. We are finalizing the details for the recruitment of an experienced national security advisor, thereby satisfying the requirements of law and our Constitution, I think at Section 79. We have brought in a crime reduction strategist in Dr. Triton to work with our stakeholders to deal with gangs and high-risk youths. He came to us highly recommended by one of our sons, illustrious sons, out of Canada, teacher Mr. Leader from my Keon High School days. He is now a member of the clergy in Toronto. And speaking of teachers, Mr. Speaker, allow me to recognize my former teacher at Sixth Form in Miss Gwendolyn Nisbet, who is here visiting with us, and to thank her for the contribution that she has made to my own educational development.
Honorable Member, I must interject.
Yes, you should.
Welcome, Ms. Nisbet. I did not recognize my former teacher also. That's the point I wanted to make. Continue.
Thank you very much. The lovely lady, former teacher, also served as, I think, a labor commissioner in another dispensation within St. Kitts and Nevis, and she was the first head of the Department of Gender or Women's Affairs. So she has done quite a lot of public service, and we are therefore delighted that she continues, even from a yonder, to have a passion and love for ongoing service to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. So again, good to see you, dear teacher. We have this year recruited more persons into our security forces. And perhaps for the first time, we are having 2 rounds of training to be conducted at both the Defense Force and the Police Training School. In other words, we are increasing the availability of manpower to man our streets or alleyways, and to do the kind of intelligence-bred policing which we are about. We are working with the Police Cooperative Credit Union to provide a housing solution to our police. For the first time in our history, a national symposium on crime took place earlier this year, and members of the opposition were available to have their say, although they were wayward in their presentation on what was a national symposium. Stakeholders from all walks of life convened to give input on the way forward. And I'm pleased to report, and on another occasion, perhaps at the next sitting, on the ministerial intervention statements, I will report on how we are progressing with respect to the outputs of that symposium. We have grown our economy, Mr. Speaker, in 2015, in 2016, and 2017, providing more job opportunities than ever before. The Social Security record indicated that the largest number of employed persons ever evidenced in our federation has happened in each year under the Team Unity administration. We are working and delivering for the people. We are creating, Mr. Speaker, opportunities for our people to find gainful employment. And we encourage our young people in particular to abandon the life of laziness and Mr. Speaker, and to get on a constructive path of engagement in our beloved St. Kitts and Nevis. To our credit, not only have more persons been put to work on the Team Unity, their wages are at the highest ever, and the Social Security records reflect that a significant number of the employed have moved from the profile of those at the minimum wage to a higher level of engagement. Mr. Speaker, the wages and salaries and the record of the Social Security reflected for 2016, we reached a record of $1 billion in wages and salaries, compared to 2014, where it was just over $700 million. We are working for our people, and our people are being placed at a higher level of development. Mr. Speaker, we have waived the duties and taxes on security surveillance equipment to assist the residential and commercial sectors to do a better job at their own security. We have stepped up on the PEP program to upgrade the skills and competencies of our people. And we were amazed to have found that the CDB, in its evaluation of the former PEP, spoke to the fact that just about 140 persons ever receive any training in a program that had over 3,000 persons being paid.
How much is that? Say that again.
140. And when the honorable member for number 5 comes, he will read more in that particular perspective. But equally, the independent observer said to us that the PEP program was a vain attempt of the government bygone to mask the level of underemployment in the country. And so, as they will rush into an election, ill-prepared for it, but forced into calling it, and recognize that they were lacking everybody who will. Some never worked for half an hour. All they were told that if you were in Shadwell, as they reported to me, and you were going to vote for a particular candidate that they know was going to lose, you will be paid. Wasting of the public funds, Mr. Speaker. Wastage of the public funds. And you wonder aloud, how could an administration have expended about $200 million of public funds to train 140 people? And none of them, Mr. Speaker, ended up with a degree, a diploma, a CXC, or anything of that nature of certification. And you look at the opportunity cost of $200 million being wasted in a mad rush to buy love at election time. And the vanity of it was seen, because come the 16th of February 2015, the very people and the PEP program said we needed a recalibration and a resetting of the policy of fiscal prudence in the country. And that is why we have seen, as it were, new changes and new beginnings. We are investing, Mr. Speaker. We are investing, Mr. Speaker, in the sports and the TVETs program. These are better options for engaging of our people, ensuring that our young people have something more to offer. Something more. We will never put forward as a proposition for thinking people within our country that being on the PEP is a blessing. Being condemned to a position of impermanence, being condemned to the lowest level of economic engagement in our country should never be imposited, should never be proposed by any administration of high value as a blessing. And the people of our country have recognized that. We have done much, Mr. Speaker, to depoliticize the recruitment, the promotion, and discipline in our security forces. And we continue to implement the 6-point plan of action and our strategic plan. And I could go on and on, enumerated our record of contribution, our record of support to the agenda of public safety and security. Our record is stellar. The crime reduction strategies that we are applying requires a whole of society approach. And this is why we invite each citizen and each resident to consider what he or she can do to reverse the trend of violent crimes, in particular crimes in general in our country. Ask not what the next person is doing. We want you to be introspective. We want you to ask what it is I can do to ensure that our country is made a safer place. That is why we on this side, we are about consecrating the future of law and order, public safety and security in our country. That is why we welcome in 2016 the season of prayer put on by the clergy in our country. That is why we have supported the involvement of the private sector in relation to the issues of public safety and law and order. And we say to our country, that we will never waver. Never waver from the responsibility. Never waver in our support to law enforcement. Never waver in doing the right thing. Not because it is expedient, but we will do the right thing always because it is the honorable thing to do. This bill, which we have brought before the Honorable House, again reflects the public concern that more be done. More must be done by all of us. The parents must offer no shelter, no support to those in their homes who are trading and using illegal firearms and ammunition. They must find no support in our churches, in our business places, and they must find none either in the political parties. We on this side have long said that there are no team unity gangs. We certainly will not encourage lawlessness. We certainly will offer no support to any. Each of us have to take a stand. Draw the line in the sand. Draw a line and determine on which side we will stand. For our part, we decide. Stand firmly on the side of law and order, public safety and security. And we will do all that we can and all that we must do to restore our beautiful federation to that safe haven we all dream, and many of us live through at one part of our lives. May the Firearms Amendment Bill, Mr. Speaker, have safe passage to the Honorable House. May it please you, I thank you.
Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.